Hello, periods 1, 2, and 3. Today, if you were absent, we talked about area of a trapezoid. If you can pull up both links in Canvas, one will look like what my screen looks like, some grids of trapezoids, and then there's a second document for you to download, which is just a box page. It says page 169 and 170, numbers 11 through 18. This video will take you through the notes and then start you off on the box page. Okay. Let's talk about a trapezoid. If you look in the middle of the page, it says that the bases are parallel. Okay, so always think of kind of like what the base is, what you sit on. Okay, so it's sitting on this side and its opposite base, here's the other side. They're parallel. Remember that parallel means that they run the same, okay? They will never cross. So they have parallel sides. And then the height is a vertical distance between the bases. So height, obviously, just kind of think up and down. Again, we do not use diagonals. Height is straight up and down. Okay. So if you're looking at this grid paper, I'm going to erase my highlights. We're going to first off by counting the bases. So if you look at this base, it is 1, 2, 3, 4 units. The other base is 1, 2 units. And then the height, I'll do in a different color, the height straight up and down is also 2 units. Okay. When you have the grid, you can kind of count. There is 1 full square, 2 full squares, 3 full squares, 5 full squares, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2 halves. Obviously, 2 halves would make a whole. Okay. So to count the grid boxes, there are 5 full boxes and then a half, which makes 1 more full box. So the area would be 6 square units. Okay. So when you have the grid behind you, yes, you can count, but guys, obviously there will not always be a grid behind you. So we need to learn the formula. Okay. Formula. It looks complicated. I promise it's not, okay? So think of a trapezoid. If you look at that trapezoid, you do kind of see a triangle up there, right? Because it's got that slant. So think of a triangle, 1/2 the height, okay? Because there's something cut off, so you're gonna do half the height. And you're gonna multiply it by the sum of the 2 bases. So that B1, B2 stands for base 1 and base 2. Okay, go back, let's look at the picture again. And here's how we're gonna substitute in for this formula. I'm always gonna give you the formula, you're not gonna have to remember it. Okay, I'm gonna talk about the bases first. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 is one of the bases. And the other base, there's 2. So there's 4 and 2 for our bases. H stands for height. The height is 2, so we're going to put a 2 in for the H, and then we're going to do half of that. I normally work this formula completely backwards. We know parentheses we do first. So no matter what, we need to add those bases up. 2 plus 4, 4 plus 2 is 6. Bring everything else down. And again, like I said, I go backwards. 2 times 6 is 12. And what is half of 12? Half of 12, or 12 divided by 2 is 6. So the area of this trapezoid is 6 units squared, which is the exact same thing we got up here. Okay, so again, I know that the formula looks difficult, but it's not. You're going to add the bases together, multiply it by its height, divide it in half. Okay. Let's look at this one. For the sake of counting the grids, I guess we can do that. Full grids, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 12 full boxes. And then a half and a half make a whole, a half and a half make a whole, a half and a half make a whole. So there's 1, 2, 3 extra boxes, which gives us 15 square units. I'm going to erase all that. You know the day of our test. It's not going to be on grid paper. You're going to have to figure it out. Okay, let's start with our formula. A equals 1/2 the height times the sum of the two bases. Okay, let's count what the bases are. Again, bottom bases, what it sits on is the base, and they're always parallel. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is one of the bases, and the top from point to point is 2. The height, do not use diagonal, go straight down from the tip top point straight down. The height would be 3. And again, we're going to work this backwards. Parentheses first, 8 plus 2, 10 was the base. The bases, when added together. Bases times the height gave us 30. And half of 30, or 30 divided by 2, is 15 units squared. Okay, so this just says same, yes or no. Those were the same. You can count them or use the formula. You'll get the same answer. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to start you off on the page 1.